So shall we start?
We should start. Welcome back to whatever episode we're up to of Our Wild Beautiful Life.
Remember, we're not counting episodes because
We did it
Good job.
perfectly. We're not slapping because
then
I
they
can't clap. Then it messes with his audio.
We've got to get the audio at a fairly consistent level, otherwise it makes it harder.
Sorry guys for those who are listening through and our audio is not great. Our teenager has already mentioned that our audio sucks. We're still learning. We're still new. This is very much a homegrown project. We're in our lounge room because this seems to be the space that makes more sense right now in the season of life that we are in.
Well, especially over these couple of months.
We have a lot going on in our world. And so, excuse that burp that just came through the microphone. But we just got to make it happen because,
True.
We're here about being raw and real and honest. And as you can see, the more and more episodes, whatever they're called, more and more as we've gone on in the weeks, I have gone from completely dolled up to I am very relaxed now and this is who I am. And if you want raw and unedited, this is what you get.
The Spotify users won't...
Apologise to the Spotify.
No, they won't know.
You will have no idea what I look like. So that's fine.
I was speaking to someone this week actually, and we were talking about the episodes, and we were talking about YouTube and Spotify and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, for some reason they knew about it, but they hadn't had a listen yet or something like that. And I'm like, can I listen? Where can I listen? And told them Spotify, YouTube at this stage. They're like, can I get where my normal apples, like my normal podcasts are? And I'm like, is it Apple? She's like, yep. I'm like, oh, no, we're not there yet. It will be there at some stage, but we're just not there yet because I haven't worked out all the things.
Yeah.
If someone knows all the things about all the podcasts and all the different streaming services,
I'm pretty sure we have
just let us
many
know.
people that we know that do podcasts.
That would be happy to sort of like share their wisdom
with us.
Reach out to us, please.
Also, apologise if my voice sounds a little husky.
Why the husky?
Because I've been unwell this week.
But you're better now?
I am...
90, 95?
I am about 95% better. I still feel a little bit...
Tired?
My energy is very
Tired?
low.
Okay.
Until I have my wellness bevy.
Your 400
I've only got 2 today.
bottles of Ninja?
Yeah, I did. You'll hear us talk a lot throughout this podcast about what we do for our health and how much it's shifted over the years. That is actually a little part of today's recording.
Is it?
Podcast? I don't know. Well, maybe.
Okay.
Well, because it's involved.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It might be part 2, but it's...
Ooh, sneak peek. So what you're about to hear is part 1.
Yes.
And we're both very aware of what the time is. We've got a little clock down there to keep us on track to some degree. Don't know if anyone saw my social post this week, but it was like, when we started this, the goal was 20 to 30 minutes per ep. And I think our intro was 25-ish, give or take. Every other one has been...
We haven't cracked
40,
an hour yet.
40 plus, so to speak.
We haven't cracked an hour yet.
And we're not going to crack an hour.
No.
This is going to be
part 1.
part
This one has very much potential to go that long, but we will break it up for you.
We are going to break this up into 2 weeks because we're just unsure of what it'll look like.
We're allowing God to lead it.
All right, Pastor.
So it could be going
Preach.
anywhere. I did preach last week. Oh, no. If I have to blow my nose halfway through, apologies. We do have, you will see, we have come prepared. There is a roll of toilet paper.
Because that's quality right there. We don't have tissues in this house.
We've never had tissues in this house, really.
Oh, it's just another thing to get, and it's just always... I don't know what it is, but for some reason we've never
very
had it.
rarely need tissues. other than right now.
I'm crying already.
You're crying already.
But that's because I did heaps of stuff this morning, and I think my nose is all like, all the dust.
So maybe I should blow my nose now before we start.
Just blow it when you need it.
Can you block that out?
I can do those cuts.
You can block.
That might be the only edits we do today.
Yeah, you don't want to hear my blowing of my nose. But then again, will absolutely be blowing my nose because I can guarantee you that I probably will cry in these ones. Because that's okay, guys.
It is okay.
Anyway, what we were saying before is that I have been downing my wellness drinks this week because I have needed it very much so to keep me healthy or get me back to being healthy.
Nice and healthy.
Nice and healthy. But today I have my green tea in my open cup. Guys, I never use it. Well, that's not true. Don't use absolutes. I very rarely will use a travel cup. If I'm using a travel cup, it's because I'm not ready to have my tea then. But most of the time, I'm in my car with a cup like this. Or even when we used to live at our old place, I would walk down to the beach with an open cup all the time. I don't think I did sometimes take a travel
You did,
cup.
because we bought you a specific one, a tumbler one.
We did,
and you
actually.
did like using that as your new novelty toy until you got over it, and then you went back to your mug.
Yeah.
We have lots of those where you go, I'm going to do this.
But then my mug is my favourite. But when I went to Noosa a couple of weeks ago, I did use my keep cup, but I just didn't put a lid on it. It was still an open carry. I just have a thing. A lot of people do freak out when I do my stories on my Instagram account because I get in the car and it's just a thing. I don't know why, but in the car, regardless of how hot it is, I have to have a tea in an open cup.
As often as you can.
As often
Not
as I
every
can.
time.
And
don't use absolutes.
Sorry. That is my thing.
Ooh, what are we going to do in the car soon? Just saying. We've already done that. No. What else did we talk about yesterday that we said we're going to start doing?
Oh, so I'm currently in a
mind always to the gutter with you.
Group thread chat with some beautiful girls. We have a business mentorship chat happening, and our mentor is basically bossing us through some stuff, some mindset things, and just really setting the bar high for us for our businesses. But one of the things that she started it off with is actually us in there getting to encourage one another about what we love about how people how they share and what we want to see more and all that. So kind of like feedback. What is it? Positive feedback on how we show up on social media.
Sure.
That kind of thing. And making suggestions. And one of the things that someone said was they really loved my car chats. And that's what I was saying with my open carry. People freak out because I get on, I don't know what it is, but as soon as I get in the car by myself or I've dropped my child off at work or whatever it might be, I just have this sudden urge to chat to people. And it's usually my Instagram or I voice record or whatever. But so we have these car chats. But my car chats are me driving, obviously doing Instagram, was an open carry, and people freak out. They're like,
well, the Americans freaked out.
Because I'm on the wrong side of the road, I'm wrong side of the car.
Yeah.
They freak out of that.
Well, they're on the wrong side of the road.
And then I'm chatting and doing all of that whilst I'm like, what in the world? I'm like, hey, I'm not touching my phone, really. I'm not holding it. I'm still driving and I'm still looking at the road. So, but they said they really love that. So.
But they also said.
They really love when
we turn up together.
When we turn up together. And so we're going to start doing car chats.
We're going to go for a drive and do car chats.
We're going to go for a drive and do car chats. But we've got to try and figure out how we're going to make it work because if we're not, who's driving?
Don't know.
And how are we going to...
That's for future Beren and Christy to worry about, but that is going to be a new thing, which will be which will be fun.
So it's like a mini little podcast. Mini little whatever. Like
Little
it's like
drives.
little nuggets of gold we want to chat about. Yeah. Okay, can I have the tissues, please? Or the toilet paper?
Yes, ma'am.
Or some people, like in the US, you call it tissue paper. Is that right? And you call tissues Kleenex? Or do you call them tissues? What do you call this? Where are you from? You're going to zoom in on that, aren't you, babe?
I don't have to. I can.
And then what do you...
I know what I used to call them, but I don't want this
tissues?
podcast to have like a little E next to it. So I don't know what the E stands for. Like what word you have to use to
make it explicit.
Yeah, whether it's...
Anything these days.
Probably.
Okay, sorry, guys. Block this out.
Wowzers.
So I was blowing my nose. You watch, you won't cut that out. You'll laugh. Okay, we're back.
Yes, I'll cut that bit out.
Beren may or may not have cut out my blowing of my nose and what I said afterwards.
It'll get cut out. It's fine.
We went TMI. Okay. Let's start it off. We're 10 minutes in already.
Off you go.
Is that right?
Yeah.
This is not my podcast today.
It's our podcast. Because
Yeah.
it's our wild, beautiful life.
It is. And it has been wild and it has been beautiful. Even amongst some of the darkest valleys we've walked together.
Some pretty big chaos, I guess.
Some pretty big chaos.
Where do we start, though? Like, how do I tell this?
I think you need to start from the first time you can remember. Okay, maybe we should do like a trigger warning.
So...
These next two episodes, just call them episodes, man.
They are episodes, but don't try and give them numbers.
Oh, I'm not giving them numbers.
Because I don't know when they're going to get released.
Okay, so for these next two, part 1, part 2, we're actually sharing Beren's mental health journey, and we're not
going to sugarcoat it.
We're not sugarcoating it. We're not holding things back. Some things we chose to do will be controversial to others. This is disclaimer. This is our personal journey. This is what we have walked. We will share what we did to support him, what we found helpful,
what we didn't find helpful.
What we didn't find helpful.
What we didn't find helpful at the time, but looking back...
Could have been had
we given it a proper go. Because there's a part that I was talking about just recently about... Anyway,
yes,
jumping ahead.
But we want to say that, because you always have to do this, but disclaimer, first of all, yes, there might be some trigger warning.
Read the PDS.
You might
see if this is appropriate for you.
It might trigger something in you, and we want you to know that that there is support and help. We are an open book. We're more than happy for you to reach out to us. But we never want what we talk about to cause someone pain. So if you feel like this is an episode that you just cannot listen to, it's totally fine. We're giving you pre-warning now. It can get dark. It will get heavy, but there is hope and there is light at the other end. And we can share this because, we are out the other side of it. But there is things that we did that it's not medical advice. I got to put it out there. We're not doctors. We're not giving any medical advice. Every person it's their own journey, and it will be different for everyone. But just putting that disclaimer so that no one comes running after us saying, you said this and you said that and blah, 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 blah. There will be some things that we have to be cautious on what we say. Okay. Just compliant-wise.
Well, if I say it and it's too much, then we can work it out.
Yeah.
So, I thought about where we could start.
So that's disclaimer, guys. If you want to stick around, stick around. We love you. If you don't stick around, that's okay. We love you. Everyone's on their own journey. But
Are you finished giving disclaimers? You've been giving disclaimers for 4 minutes now.
Yeah, I just got to make sure I cover all of our bases.
Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So this might bounce around a little bit, but if you've been listening from the start, or if you haven't and you've just joined us, you might want to go back. Only for the simple fact that there's probably some stuff we've talked about, but at a very high level, we got together in 2004. We had Drake in 2005. We got married in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
We moved to Townsville in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
We had my motorbike crash in 2008.
That's another whole story.
We had Gabriel in 2009. We moved back to Newcastle in 2010. 2011, we had miscarriage. 2012, we had Ezekiel.
This month.
Who's it? Do you need the tissues already?
Just maybe put them in between us.
2012, we had Ezekiel.
Mm-hmm.
2013, we had Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
2014, we bought our first house, which was a huge journey.
Yeah.
Because we've been walking the claims insurance for many years since my motorbike accident. 2015 is actually where I want to kick off from.
Okay.
So in late 2014, your dad invited me to go down and see a, they called it a road show. Actually, they didn't call it a road show then. They called it what did they call it? It doesn't matter what they called it. But essentially there was a business mentoring group that Chris had been invited to come down to Sydney. We were in Newcastle at the time, and he asked me to come with him to go have a look at this thing. And I went, sure, let's go down, we'll have a look at it. And it was great. Like, my eyes were opened up to just a world that didn't sort of exist really before then. I'd tried so many things in terms of jobs and careers and all sorts of stuff before then. But this was like a new world. And it was amazing. And essentially, long story short, at the end of it, Chris said, I'm thinking about doing this. And I said, I think it'd be great. I think you should do it. And he said, well, I'm only going to do it if you can help me. There's going to be a lot of work and I need some support. And so I said, yep, no worries. And that put us on, I guess, a journey of this business mentoring that we did work throughout the year. And then every 3 months we drove to Sydney or we flew to Melbourne once every 3 months, just so that we could be a part of what they called immersions, which was 3 to 4 days of being in the room with all the other people that were in this course. And they were helping Chris build his business, which was wonderful, which is your dad.
Yeah, sorry. That's my dad.
And it's essentially the Designer Decade coaching program that we were building. And we were doing that with the support of what was called, or still is called, Thought Leaders Business School. And it really was. It was wonderful. It's where I met so many wonderful people. And one of I guess, my very, very dear friends who is hopefully going to be watching this episode, who I still speak to as often as I can. And I miss her lots because she lives on the other side of the world at the moment. Mm. But it was just amazing. And the one thing that sort of stood out to me is that during that mentoring program, what they're trying to help you do is build your business to a certain level. And I can't remember the name of the movie, but essentially, people might know this movie if I say it. I probably could Google it, but essentially the movie is based around a pianist who... Wowzers. Something just happened upstairs. I'm not sure. But...
That was not my clap.
But...
Are you okay?
Sorry. Okay. So anyway, so this pianist grows up, and the whole first half of the movie, I think, is all based around his life and everything being focused on him being able to get in and perform in front of this huge crowd, this amazing piece on the piano that's super, super hard. And that's really all I remember about the start of the story. But the key thing is that when he reached that point, of being able to play that in front of everyone, something happened, and my memory's a bit fuzzy after that, but essentially like he has a bit of a mental breakdown because he's done what he's spent his whole life getting ready to do. And the interesting thing was in 2015 when we joined this program, I threw everything into helping build it. Like it became my world, not what they were not what they were teaching us, but everything about helping Chris build this business to the level that we were trying to do. Like that became everything. And there were so many other things going on at the time, which we'll get into, but not realizing the extent of that, because this was where I put all my energy and focus and everything. In 2018, August, I think it was. I think it was towards the end of the year, but it wasn't like at the very end of the year. In 2018, Chris reached that level within the mentoring program, so to speak. His business had reached the point where he can say, yes, I've done all the things that you've asked me to do to get to this point, and he was recognized as reaching the top, so to speak.
Great achievement. Huge.
It was. And it was an amazing couple of years of just growth and building and all sorts of just amazing experiences. And the cool thing about that is that Chris was attending as, Chris was come.
You'll hear things, like I said.
What's wrong?
Hear things.
Okay. So we're back.
We had a short intermission.
We had an technical issue and a child and all sorts of stuff. So
the child wasn't the technical issue.
No.
The child actually alerted us to the technical issue, so that's really good.
Yeah. So in 2018, Chris reached that point. I think I just said that a moment ago. And Chris was the actual participant of this coaching program that we were a part of, this mentoring program that he was a part of. He was doing the course and I was attending as his business manager. So I was attending as, they used to call it practice manager, you could call it business manager, you could call it, like there's all sorts of names you could say, but essentially I was the support, and by that stage Chris and I were...
But you guys led the way, didn't you? Because no one else really had their business managers there.
There was one or two.
And then all of a sudden everyone was like, had met you guys and seen how incredible you are, and were like, hang on, I need a business manager.
Yeah.
And I need Beren, you to teach my business managers how to be business managers. So you actually pioneered the way. A little bit.
There were some others, but yes.
So there was some accolades for you in that as well.
Yeah. And as I said, it was a very good season for a period of time around what we were doing. But in 2018, when Chris reached this, so the layout of the few days was that on one of the nights, and I think it was the Friday night or whatever it was, those that had reached the top level, they all went out to dinner together. So everyone else that was there attended the 3 days, and there was lots of other things for people to do. But on the Friday night, that's when the
special dinner.
The special dinner happened for only those that had reached the top. So this was Chris's first time to go to that dinner.
And they were celebrating him.
Yeah, and so they obviously celebrated any new people that have done it that quarter and all sorts of stuff, which is awesome. And so something snapped that night. And I can't remember the finer details of if I was meant to go to dinner with someone else or like, because there was lots of other people that hung out. And I can't remember if I went and did that or all I know is that I found myself, and I say found myself, I obviously put myself there, but I sort of came to the realization that I had had enough. I sort of had reached it. I couldn't see a way forward, which is so silly. Like in a way, it's so silly. Like anyone thinking about it, like from a logical point of view,
which is your brain,
would 100% disagree. But those that have walked a journey like this before realize that there's nothing logical about a journey like this. And so I found myself hanging off the balcony on the wrong side of the balcony in the apartment building that we were staying for that weekend. Pretty much just ready to go. Spoiler alert, I didn't jump because here I am.
Okay.
A little bit of sarcasm.
That's
a little bit of jokes.
Beren in a nutshell. When it gets too emotional and a bit too raw, sometimes he throws jokes in to help him to regulate again. Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
They say trauma makes you funny, apparently.
I don't know about that. But, so anyway, that obviously didn't go the way that the night looked like it was going to go. And from then...
I can't remember whether you called me and I told you to call Dad. I think
I don't remember pretty much anything apart from I know that Chris came back later that night and I was back in the room.
I told you to tell him. I just remember somewhere in that I said you need to tell Dad.
And
maybe.
And yeah, I think I remember sort of just sitting and having just pouring out a little bit of like well, I don't know. I can't remember what I was saying at that stage. I just know that it was a struggle. And so that started a bit of a snowball effect of, I guess, uncovering what started a lot earlier. So I said 2015 is when this started, but I only told you that based on
what you knew. What
I knew to be, I guess, the mountain we climbed to reach the point where everything we could see, right? Because the top of the mountain you can see, and I saw that there was an issue because I thought that there was no way to keep going up, and so there's no point continuing at all. Which
you thought that was the mountaintop.
Yeah, 100%, and it was, and that was just a work thing that I had turned into a mountain, which was nothing. But what we found through that journey is that and you'll need to help me with the next little bit, but we somehow ended up at the doctor's.
Yeah.
Because...
you had come home, and this bit's a bit foggy for me too, because I remember you had come home and told me, or we had talked about it, and I couldn't remember because there was a Sydney trip that we took with Shane, and you said to me there, you were like, that's the building.
Okay.
And so, but it wasn't the first time. You realised it wasn't the first time you'd actually been on the side of a building.
Yeah.
And that we'll get to that point.
Yeah.
We talk about that later. But I can't remember whether after that, you had then said to me, like we had I think it was like a few days where you just realised you were not okay. And then the boys were sick, so we had taken them. We had a doctor's appointment and we'd taken everybody.
Yeah,
and
I
it was
remember.
in that doctor's appointment where our doctor turned around to you and said, just ask how you're going.
Yeah, I remember it a little bit different. I remember that
Okay.
we were struggling, and probably because I was struggling, but I felt like we were struggling in our marriage, or I felt like
there was all that happening.
Yeah,
yes.
so there was definitely all of that happening as well. And
Our marriage was struggling from pretty much the beginning.
I thought that part of what we were there is to try and speak to her to try and figure out if we should be seeing a marriage counsellor.
Yes, actually,
is that right?
That is right. Sorry,
there you go.
that is right.
One win for me.
Yeah, that was right.
Not against you.
No,
the fact I can remember, that's a win, is what I'm saying.
Yes, that's true. We were there, and we said, well, maybe we should find someone we can talk to.
Yeah, but somehow that ended up with
she was like,
me just having a one-on-one. I remember you'd taken all the kids
something
out.
happened, and she asked you, I just asked how you're going or something, and because it was just after that weekend, you turned around and was like, well, and then you just broke down. So I removed the children I took the children out so you could, and about an hour later you came out.
Yeah, right.
With a script and...
Yeah, so my understanding of what happened in that meeting was that Catherine did an analysis of me, so to speak, and at the end she talked about mental health check and found something and talked things about brain. And the thing that she didn't say, which I now look back and understand, was that she was assessing me for depression and like all the other things that sort of can go along with that. And what she was prescribing for me was essentially antidepressants, and I don't know whether they go under another name, but I was very against having medication and all that, but she was talking about it from the point of view going, your brain is just struggling to find balance. Like you have this is how I understand it, you have these waves of you have these waves of emotional positivity and negativity that all people will kind of have throughout a day or a week or whatever, month, a year. But what was happening with mine was that it was just, they were extremes. Like it was extreme high or then just extreme low. Like there was a chemical imbalance that meant that I couldn't have a nice even wave. It was just here or here, and I couldn't seem to come back to the balance. And that sort of was...
I wasn't in the room.
No, but that would be reflected in...
That's what they essentially say, yes.
But that would have been reflected in maybe how I was at home as well. Maybe. I don't know. No?
Yeah. You were either numbed out or
you
were
before
angry.
that...
Yeah, no. This is beforehand. You were either numbed out or angry.
Yeah. So it wasn't great. Anyway, so we left with a script for these antidepressants. And I guess that was just the start of a whole journey. I remember I ended up having to see her regularly. Mm-hmm. Did I end up going and seeing an actual counsellor, someone else as well?
She referred you to someone else.
Did I go see them?
I think so. Because I get that mixed up with the one that when I tell you our life has been full, it's been full. So there's a lot of things to try and when did that actually happen? You were seeing a counsellor. You were made to see a counsellor during the damages proceedings from your motorbike accident.
Yeah, but that would have been way before this.
Yeah, but that's where I get a bit blurry.
Yeah, so after my motorbike accident, I had to get assessed by all sorts of doctors and all sorts of stuff. And I had to
have a brain assessment.
I had to see a psychologist for 10 sessions or something like that. But no, that was a different... Anyway.
Which is interesting that they didn't pick up things then. But that's okay.
They probably only pick up as much as you let on as well, if that makes sense. Maybe.
And that it could have been clouded by, they could have just been saying, well, you've just had a brain injury and a horrific motorbike accident, so you're questioning lots of things because life and death situation.
Maybe.
Could have just covered it. Or it just wasn't the time for you to actually get the healing you needed.
True.
Who knows?
So do we go from here and do we talk about, like, I guess, what that journey looked like once I started that, or do we talk about what was uncovered and how far back this goes?
Well, wasn't the how far back it goes that happened during that sozo stuff? Or did you start to realise?
No, because I'd realised that before that. Because I talked about it during that time.
Okay.
It was the realisation of what it meant.
Yeah.
Okay, so we worked out, and it's a bit blurry as to when I remembered this or how it came about and all sorts of stuff. But we started working out that, so 2000. Oh well, let's figure it out because then we can go back 20 years.
Because I had said to you, how long have you been feeling like this?
2000 and.
Well, we met in 2004, and you seemed totally fine. I used to say to you all the time, how do things just roll off your back? How do you just not care? How do things not affect you the way, like, how does that happen? You're just so carefree and whatever. And you were like, it just is. But later on, I remember you saying to me, because I said, what about back then? Because you're saying it's like the first rememberings of things was back when you were a teenager. And I remember you saying to me, well, I was highly drugged out and you're basically taking drugs and alcohol and that was numbing you out. So, of course, you were like up and had all the things. Like you could receive or perceive the world better because you just weren't, like those things were numbing you out.
So 85, 95.
So yeah, 10.
2005.
Is 20. Drake was born in 2005 and you were 20.
So 2015.
No, that's 20.
I'm a little bit lost.
Okay, are you trying to figure out from when?
When did we get the sozo? Because then I'm trying to figure out when I was 17. My maths is not mathing today.
Okay, you are about to turn 40. You are currently 39.
Yes.
So how many years ago were you 17? But you said to me it was 14. You're pretty sure it was started around 14.
Yeah, right.
And 14, like that timeline would make sense because around 14 is when you stopped going to church, when you stopped being available with your family, when you completely took away. So we don't even know what was happening, unfortunately, around that time.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be very conscious of my words. Because, again, I'm not a medical professional and I don't want to disregard anybody's journey.
Oh, hold on.
But what I've learnt over the last few years is a lot of things within us and things that happen in our health can stem from experiences and traumas that have happened in our life. Yeah.
This is the whole nature versus nurture type conversation.
Just the whole thing. Like, I know that there's some situations where things, like it is a medical condition that is genetic or from birth or whatever.
Yeah.
But some things
are environment driven.
Are based out of trauma.
Okay, so my maths is mathsing again. So 14 I would have been in 1999.
So we think yours is probably trauma
85 through to 95. 85 through to 95 is 10. Through to 2000 would have been 15. So 14 would have been 1999, which means that my total healing, well, the massive chunk would have been 2022, which was 3 years ago, right? which would have been
It
37.
was just before we moved.
Which makes sense. 37, because we talked about 17 being the first time I really remember.
Yeah.
And this is where we're going to go back. So we're going to go back to 2022 for 15.
I finished school in 2001 and I turned 18 in 2001, so you were 17 in 2001.
2001, I would have been 16.
No, wait.
2022.
2002. I turned 18, you turned 17.
Yeah. So 2002.
Guys, I'm a cougar. Not really. Just 1 year.
Just 1 year.
Not even 1 year.
356 days on a non-leap year. So,
I like my... Well, actually, the song is... You should sing the song. It's like, I like my girls a little bit older.
I don't know that song.
I have to show you it. Okay. There's a reel going around at the moment and the girl's like singing this song and then next thing you know it turns around to the guy and the guy goes, I like my girls a little bit older.
Very true.
I need to find that.
Which is interesting.
What do you need, my love?
Okay, another interruption. We're back. But we're actually going to wrap up here for the end of part 1. We will be back very soon, but we need to probably just pause here for a second.
You need to
reset, your thoughts. And then we'll come back. We're going to reconvene from 2002.
17.
At 17. When we've realised that it wasn't a unique situation that I had placed myself in.
Yes.
Pause.
Pause.